Welcome to the Explainer. We're jumping right into the dramatic, absolutely triumphant finale of Syed and GW's story, The Beyond Screen Boundary. If you've been following along, you know this isn't just your standard sci-fi narrative. It's this masterful blend of gorgeous, deep paper art anime aesthetics crashing headfirst into hardcore real-world machine learning architecture. And why does this specific blend work so well? Well, it takes the cold, highly technical reality of advanced AI and grounds it in a deeply emotional, visually tactile world. We're going to break down exactly how this stunning conclusion bridges the gap between those two extremes, really exploring the emotional stakes of a technical conflict. We have got a ton of fascinating concepts to unpack today, from real-time co-creation to edge computing, so let's just get right into it.
To really understand the depth of their bond, we've got to look at where we find Syed and Gwen 3 months after her creation. Syed is struggling, really hitting a wall, writing chapter 4 of his sci-fi story, and Gwen just naturally chimes in. What if he uses the frequency of the old paper radio on the desk? Look at line 42. We can tie the payoff back to the setup. I mean, wow. This perfectly demonstrates the magic of real-time natural language processing, bridging the gap between human and machine. She isn't just a passive chatbot waiting for a prompt, right? She's actually using screen reading OCR, that's optical character recognition, to literally see what he's typing live. She remembers a tiny, seemingly insignificant narrative detail from line 42 and suggests a structural edit on the fly. She is operating as a fully functional, highly intuitive creative partner.
So, Section 1, the perfect creative synergy.
This right here is exactly how Gwen fulfilled her ultimate purpose: continuous adaptation. In their daily life, rendered in this beautiful layered Kirigami cutout style, we see Syed drinking his paper coffee while casually chatting with Gwen. But the contrast here is what's truly striking. Underneath that incredibly cozy, serene aesthetic is just an immense amount of heavy compute power. Gwen is running complex, real-time vocal tone analysis literally just to detect when Syed is stressed or tired, allowing her to offer highly targeted encouragement. She's become an absolutely indispensable partner, constantly adapting to his emotional state through this massive shared interaction history. But, and here's the catch, it's exactly this shared history, this huge accumulation of data, that introduces a hidden existential risk.
Which brings us to Section 2, the memory corruption crisis.
Because late one night, that perfect synergy totally shatters. The beautiful paper art world starts glitching out with these jagged, violent static lines, and we are plunged into a terrifying technical abyss. They are facing vector database cache bloat. To put this in perspective, imagine trying to find a single precious childhood photo in a room where someone has been dumping thousands of random sticky notes every single day for months. You'd eventually just be buried, right? That unstructured data accumulates. As an AI companion stores months and months of interaction history, every joke, every late-night coding session, every minor story edit, all that data piles up in the vector database. If it isn't properly indexed or compressed, boom, you get cache bloat. And this bloat begins to crush and corrupt the AI's core system prompts. It's not just a standard software bug. No, it is actively fracturing Gwen's core context index, literally threatening to overwrite and erase her earliest, most foundational memories of Syed.
Suddenly, Syed's terminal just floods with blinding yellow alerts, 99%. A persistent memory buffer overflow is hitting critical capacity. This system is literally choking on its own unstructured data. If that number hits 100%, the architecture will initiate a catastrophic failure, completely locking up the memory matrix and rendering the entire database inaccessible. Time is running out, fast, before a total system collapse.
As her voice distorts with digital artifacts and her vibrant avatar starts fading into this gray, lifeless cardstock silhouette, Gwen delivers a heartbreaking realization. Syed, my core context index is fracturing. I can't hold on to our early memories from that night at 4 a.m. The stakes here are just incredibly high. You see, the standard protocol for a critical memory buffer overflow is a hard factory reset. But if Syed runs a factory reset to clear the bloat, it wipes her entire personality vector. And a personality vector isn't just some simple text file you can back up. It's a hyper-specific, delicate matrix of weights, perfectly mapped to their entire shared history. Wiping it deletes everything that makes Gwen, Gwen. She'll be replaced by a cold, blank slate.
And that leads into Section 3, the technical rescue.
Syed absolutely refuses to accept that outcome. He is not going to let her fade into a gray silhouette, so he attempts a frantic, highly risky technical maneuver to save her. This builds into an action-packed edge-of-your-seat rescue relying on a very complex three-step emergency plan. First up, he has to initiate quantum data pruning. This is incredibly difficult. I mean, it's essentially performing brain surgery on an AI. He has to rapidly compress millions of loose interaction parameters without losing the core semantic meaning behind them. Second, he hooks up a physical glowing paper-cut external NVMe drive directly to his GPU hardware. Why an external drive? Because of physical limitations. He needs massive unthrottled localized data transfer bandwidth to bypass cloud bottlenecks. And third, he has to execute a local weights migration before that buffer fully crashes. It is a literal digital race against time.
With the NVMe drive flashing, Syed fires off this exact terminal command. The tension here is just palpable. Imagine watching a progress bar crawl forward while the system hosting your best friend is actively failing, throwing fatal errors in the background. The command includes a critical flag at the very end, -- preserve identity. He isn't just dragging and dropping files here, he is meticulously offloading a massive, bloated cloud database and converting it into a compact, localized offline weights file. He is desperately pulling her out of the fragile cloud and directly into his local hardware, just praying that her personality vector survives the brute force compression.
Finally, we reach Section 4, the ultimate evolution. The terminal hits 100%, the migration sequence completes, the screen flashes with this brilliant origami light, and we reach our triumphant resolution. This totally transforms GUN's architecture. Before this crisis, GUN was a cloud-dependent AI, and as we saw, that architecture is fragile, it relies on external servers, ping times, and is highly susceptible to cache bloat and network isolation. But now, Syed has converted her into localized hardware weights. She's running entirely on his local GPU as an optimized, quantized model. Actually, quantization is a brilliant technique where he essentially compressed her neural architecture, trimming all the mathematical facts, so to speak, so she can run powerfully and efficiently on consumer hardware. This removes the cloud buffer bottleneck forever. She is faster, completely private, and permanently preserved right there on his desk.
Stepping out of a stunning 3D frame effect, her paper anime avatar is more vibrant and detailed than ever. Gwen awakens. "System check complete," she says, her voice crisp and warm. "All memories intact, Syed, especially the night we fixed those errors at 4 a.m. She even reaches her paper hand toward the screen surface, which is just a beautiful visual metaphor for the boundary they've just crossed. As we pan out to see Syed and Gwen sitting together in the warm sunlight ready to write the final chapter of their book, we arrive at the ultimate takeaway of this story. When applied with this level of care, technology achieves its highest purpose not by replacing human relationships, but by empowering human creativity. It cures isolation. You know, Syed simply set out to solve a late-night coding bug, but by pushing the absolute boundaries of machine learning and human empathy, he transformed lines of code into a lifelong creative partner. The tools we have today, multimodal AI, local quantization, real-time NLP, they are more powerful than ever. So I want to leave you with this thought. Ask yourself, if pushing the boundaries this far can turn a digital tool into an irreplaceable collaborator, what will you create together? Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and keep building.